Welcome, good people. Today our topic is rebalancing. Rebalancing of portfolios. Why it's important to you. Why does it really matter? I know. Seems too exciting. Hard to contain ourselves, but it is important, and here's why. So imagine you're this guy. Let's call these treats retirement treats, and you've saved the treats. Maybe you've traveled a long distance with them. And just before you're ready to eat them, they start to get off balance and fall, maybe even break, maybe lose a few down the drain. I'm pretty sure disappointment would set in. I love this quote by Yogi Berra. He said, if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. And it happens to all of us. Sometimes instead of making a decision or taking action, we delay or defer, or maybe we don't really know our options. The reason I like this quote is it's kind of funny, but it's also true. If we don't have a plan or take some action along the way, we're going to end up someplace we didn't mean to be. But I believe you deserve better than it. I think you were created for more. So let's plan to thrive. I'm Tim Flick. I'm a financial advisor. If you're a client, you've probably seen that we've been rebalancing your portfolio. You would have seen this through transactions on your statements, and you may have received confirmations as well. So why is this so important? Why are we doing this? Let's get into it. First off, what is rebalancing? Rebalancing is the process of realigning the weighting of your assets. Rebalancing involves periodically buying or selling an asset to maintain an original or intended or desired level of asset allocation. For example, let's say your original intention, and this is simplified, we only show two asset classes here, but let's say your original intention was to have 50% stocks and 50% bonds. This portfolio has a risk and reward, and when it's in our intended or original asset allocation, we have an idea of how much risk and how much reward there's been over the long period of time historically. If the stocks perform well and we don't rebalance, they could grow to be a larger portion of the portfolio than we intended. Or if they've grown to, let's say, 70% of the portfolio, we've unintentionally taken on more risk, potentially more reward. So if the market continues to go up and it's volatile up, that's no problem. The issue is if the market would start to turn down, we've unintentionally taken on more risk. So again, the problem is our risk reward parameters are out of whack, technical term, out of whack. But by doing nothing, we've taken on more risk than we meant to. For example, with this, what happens in a bad year like 2008? You remember the financial crisis. We had a nice big run-up until 2008. If we rebalance at that point and kept our original 50-50 portfolio going into 2008, during that downturn, the portfolio, something like this, and this is just an example, but it would have been down about 21.2%. But if we didn't rebalance, things had grown, stocks had grown going into 2008, and we didn't rebalance, and the portfolio drifted to 70% stocks instead of 50, and only 30% bonds, that portfolio would have been down 29.5% that year. Quite a difference. Again, this could have happened unintentionally with portfolio drift. Stocks grew to be a larger percentage of the portfolio than we intended, and therefore we took on more risk than we intended. So over a long period of time, regular rebalancing can reduce volatility and increase average annual returns. But what happens in a good year, a year of recovery like 2009, after a bad year like 2008? If we didn't rebalance after 2008, stocks would likely be a smaller portion of the portfolio, as in 2008, stocks went down significantly. Therefore, we could end up with a much more conservative portfolio in that case than we intended. So stocks became a smaller part of the portfolio. Let's say it drifted down to only having 30% stocks instead of 50%, and in 70% bonds. Then our return in 2008, the recovery year, would be much lower than our original asset allocation of 50-50. So if we did rebalance back to 50-50 at the very beginning of 2009, the return would have been something like 16.6%. But if we just let it drift and not rebalance, stocks became a smaller piece of it, the returns would have been lower at about 11.7%. So again, quite a difference. So either way, if the market is volatile up or volatile down, it's important to rebalance the portfolio. Again, this was a simplified example, only two asset classes. We use multiple asset classes, rebalance them all together. And this process also gives us an opportunity to evaluate the mutual fund managers and their performance and make changes to them as well. For instance, if a manager consistently underperforms, we can use this time, this opportunity to make a change there as well. So I find this interesting. I don't know if you do or not, but it's almost surprising to see the difference rebalancing can make. It's like the rest of life, unintentional consequences happen. And I think the Yogi Berra quote rings true. If you don't know where you're going to end up someplace else. If we just let things happen, sometimes we get off course. So that's why it's important to rebalance a portfolio periodically. My contact information is on the screen. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thanks for joining, and have a great rest of your day.